Hello everybody and welcome back. It's Michael of EmbodyTheState.com, and in this video we're going to cover why you shouldn't be letting your 3D and your thoughts bother you on your manifestation journey. And I'm going to give you guys a perspective that, in my opinion, is very powerful. I don't think there's a perspective more powerful, because what I'm going to be telling you is, it's pretty much looking through the eyes of the source, of the creator. And I don't know anything more powerful than the creator. So I hope you guys enjoy this one, and I intend that it helps a lot of you people that are watching this. And let's just dive into it, because this is exciting for me. This is a topic I love talking about, because it's not about techniques, it's not about this or that or whatever else. It's simply understanding. And I always tell people understanding is the key to success, guys. That's why anyone that has done a client call with me, you realize that I don't just tell you, oh, I want you to do XYZ and blah, 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 and do this all day and every day. I don't do that, because that's a waste. I'm sending you, if I do that, I'm sending you out there to fail. Because if you don't know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and you don't know why the 3D doesn't matter and why certain things shouldn't be bothering you, then of course you're going to hit a wall most likely, and then you of course end up spiraling and manifesting more lack and so on and so on. And that's why a lot of you guys have so much success, and that's why I love working with you guys. And I even tell the people that I work with, because a lot of people come to me and they're in these bad states, right? They're very nervous. They have spent thousands of dollars elsewhere, and they end up kind of nowhere, and they kind of tell me their stories, and it's such a common pattern that I see. And that's why I educate you guys more on the knowledge and the knowing who you are, more than, oh, do this technique or say this affirmation, right? I know better than that. And I want all you guys to succeed. So this video is going to be actually super fun for me to make, and I know that you guys are going to enjoy this one. So diving into it, as I was saying, the main reason that I tell my clients who they are, and the ones that work with me know that by the end of the call they feel great. They feel, it's like a guarantee. It's impossible that someone works with me and then at the end of that call they walk away feeling scared. Instead, it's always like a good feeling of, I guess, hope and inspiration. And that's my job, is to kind of awaken that in you. It's not that I give you guys these magical keys. It's not that I'm some special, person, and I'm better than all you people, and I know more than everyone. It's nothing to do with that, guys. It's just about perspectives. Manifesting is about perspectives. Think about it, right? If you have to constantly return in a fun way, right? As Neville would say, the frequency you return to, creates the habit. And that's what eventually reflects, right? If you know that all you have to do is frequently return to a different state, that's in essence a perspective, right? And that's not the problem for most people. The problem is they do that, and then something happens in the 3D, or then they start getting these thoughts, and then they start, identifying with those thoughts, with what the senses are showing them. And that's where the mistakes begin, right? Because the moment you start doing that, and the moment you start letting your 3D bother you to the point where you now start feeling negative, you start feeling anxiety, desperation, hopelessness, you start doubting yourself. Remember, guys, feeling is a secret, and whatever you feel to be true is going to be your future experience, right? Especially if you return to it frequently. So instead, what I want you guys to understand is it's impossible to understand that you are literally a walking aspect of the creator. You are a walking fragment of God. You have a piece of, if it helps you understand, to make it simpler, you have a piece of God inside of you all. Every single one of you watching this, there's a piece of the Almighty, of Source, of this infinite supplier inside all of you. And this is what I teach everybody that I come in contact with. Because if you don't understand this and you don't accept this, then you're not going to be able to, in other words, observe these things that bother you with a sense of calm and peace and confidence, right? And that's why I tell people it's impossible to feel any negative way on your manifestation journey when you understand who you are, and then you're looking at that thing that's bothering you from that new perspective, right? That perspective that I'm talking about, you can call it whatever you want. I am perspective, God perspective, you could call it the lens of being God or a creator or the Almighty, whatever it is. But think about it. If you know that you can manifest anything you want, you can reflect whatever outcome you want, that there is something inside of you that is greater than you, in the sense of it knows things that you don't. It's, as it says, that our ways are from this earth, and its ways are beyond our understanding, right? It's not our job to worry about the how, or, the bridge of incidents, things like that. our only job is to continue to be faithful to the state of the wish fulfilled, to return to it, right? And to walk in that conviction throughout the day. In other words, return to it and to trust that our 3D is going to reflect the changes we've been making inside. Because remember, we're changing our beliefs, and it's your beliefs that shape your 3D reality. And when you understand that your 3D reality is all a creation of your beliefs, and then you start looking at it logically as, wait a minute, if I'm in control of my mind, and my mind can start swapping out beliefs. And if I just return to certain beliefs that benefit me to the point that it becomes a habit, in other words, it becomes my self-concept, it becomes who I am. And this is what is taught in, in other words, sorry, you might have heard my dog barking, but this is what you hear in, it's the power of awareness. And, when you realize that it's how frequent you're returning to things that constitutes what you are going to be, then it makes no sense to look at your 3D and being like, you know what? Yeah, my beliefs shape my reality, but I'm not in control of my mind, and therefore I can't change my reality. It makes no sense. But what does make sense is looking at your 3D and understanding, okay, yes, this is something that I cannot change in this moment. It is what it is. I reflected it. It's who I am. But then you also realize, and I want you all to remember, wait a minute, I'm in control of my mind and my mental diet. I can choose, even though what my eyes are showing me, I can still choose what I'm going to believe in. I can still choose what I'm going to identify with. I can still choose to remember who I am, what's inside of me, and what I'm connected to. You guys are all walking gods, right? This is a training ground. Every one of you that's on earth right now, this is a training ground. Think of it like that. And you are here to remember who you are. You're here to, practice your power and to test things out and to experience life. And you're here to experience all the good and the bad, right? But keep in mind, it's your birthright to have the things that you want, whether it's love, whether it's 20,000 a month income or 40 or 100,000, whatever it may be, whatever your desire is, right? Remember, everyone has different ones. But whatever your desires are, you are meant to experience them. It is your birthright. Why? Because we are all children of the King, of the Almighty, of the most intelligent thing to ever exist, the creator of all creators, right? And the thing that can instantly destroy worlds if it wanted to, right? And it can also give life. It made the oceans, it makes mountains, it can move mountains. Think like it's crazy when you think about it. And I tell even my clients too, to show them how deep it goes. Like imagine our veins, how our heart is pumping blood and we have all these veins. That's an intricate design. And this thing inside of us, that thing that we're connected to, created all that, right? It's amazing when you look around and you see that all this is the creation of the Almighty. And when you realize that, and I call it the King, right? Because for me personally, it always feels good to remind myself, like, hey, like I'm a child of the King. And, and just like in reality, if you were in medieval times and you were the child of a king, you would have whatever you wanted as well, right? Except this king that we're a child to is immortal. It's infinite. It's everything and everywhere at once. And there is nothing that it can't figure out. There is nothing that costs too much for it. There is nothing that's going to compete with it or make it hard for it. There's nothing that has to worry about. This king, this father of ours, source, God, whatever you want to call it, right? And that is infinite. And I tell people all the time, it's like, imagine a black card. How you get a black card with unlimited credit and you can buy whatever you want with it, right? Imagine that, but like times infinite. And that's who you're connected to. It's something with that level of funds, of that level of power, right? And when you realize that all you got to do to swipe that card is simply choose to practice returning to the new beliefs that in other words, that you wish to experience. So, for example, when you enter a state of consciousness, right? When you go from I am single to I have my SP, or for financial people, if you're making only $5,000 a month, but you want to be making, let's say, $30,000 a month on your own business, and you throw away the how, because remember, that's God's job, that's Source's job, that's the Infinite's job, right? You throw away the how, because who cares? The fact that you want 30K means you're supposed to have it. So focus on that end goal, right? And when you realize, okay, this 30,000 a month I want, or this SP I want, if I just instantly accept that I have it in this moment, as Seth would say, playfully pretend, right? that it's mine. And even in scripture, it tells you can't enter the kingdom of heaven unless you become childlike in imagination and stuff, right? It's all telling you, right? To playfully pretend, right? To use your imagination freely and to enjoy it. So if in that moment I enjoy the idea, in other words, I become the person who has my SP or that monthly income, right? And I contemplate what that feels like. What would it feel like if right now I'm looking at all my problems from that perspective of being that person? If I instantly accept that just for a moment in time, I have these things, right? How would it actually feel? And you're going to realize you're going to feel a shift within yourself, right? And that right there is what you're supposed to return to. And if you just keep doing that, you're going to get your results, right? But your job is to remember that your power inside of you, that thing that you're connected to, it's infinite. There's literally limitless. There's nothing that can stop it. It has unlimited potential. There is nothing that can oppose it. The only thing that can stop it is you, because remember, it loves you and it works with you, and you can work with it. And the way it works is it works through you, right? But you have to make the choice to mental diet and to understand that we are connected to this. And the reason why I spent all this time talking about this is so you guys understand how powerful you all are. So now let's get to the fun part, right? So knowing everything I just said in the last 10 minutes, right? Everything I just told you, how powerful the source is, how intelligent it is, how it figures out the how, it can destroy worlds, it can also give life, all this stuff, all this brilliant blueprint by this thing, right? Whatever you want to call it. That thing exists in you, and it can solve everything. Now, does it make sense when you get a negative thought, right, and you start worrying about it? Does it make sense that you have this thing, that you're the child of the king, and you're going to sit there and you're going to feel bad, and you're going to feel nervous, and you're going to feel like, oh my God, like what if I don't get them back? Or what if SP doesn't love me? Or, or they're going to go find a third party. Or when it comes to money, what if I don't make what if I never make that 30K? And whatever crap comes with those type of beliefs, like I can't even imagine that, because it's been so long since I worried about money and stuff like that. But it's like, I'm sitting here trying to think of like, how does a person think that is broke and then is thinking it's not going to come? Because it's been so, I'm telling you, like I live by the law. And whatever thoughts you have regarding money that's worrying you, I want you to take that thought and literally sit there. And I want you to ask yourself and I tell this to my clients all the time, right? Those of you that have worked with me, you can even vouch that I've told you this. If the Almighty came down from the skies and they said, okay, I'm going to enter your body and I'm going to look at all your problems from your body, your perspective, but with my intelligence, right? With my power. If they came down and said, I'm going to enter your body and do all this, and I'm going to tell you if I can fix it, do you really think that the Almighty, the King, the infinite thing, the source, this abundance, the most intelligent thing to ever exist, the thing that's everything and everywhere at once, right? That's a part of us, that it's everywhere. Do you really think that thing over there is going to scare it when it looks at that problem, that thought? Or when it looks at whatever's bothering you, or when it looks at your 3D and realizes that you're not living the life you want? No, it makes no sense. So in that moment, when you realize that, you start in other words, you change your lens. You return to, what I call God mode, right? You start looking at things from the perspective of God, of the Almighty, of the King, right? And for you ladies, you can say Queen if you want. It doesn't matter what you call it. Literally, you can call it anything you want, right? And when you realize that source, this infinite potential, like this thing with unlimited potential, I should say, wouldn't worry about your problems. It's telling you logically, it makes no sense to not logically realize, wait a minute, if it wouldn't feel that way, then that must mean I'm looking at something from the perspective of being a human that's limited, right? And I've said this before in past videos, but you guys have to start being logical. It's not about throwing logic out the window. It's illogical to know this and to hear me say this and then to move on from this video and then feel like crap, a couple days from now or even today, right? And it's gonna bother you guys. Like it's so nonsensical to me. So when you realize that the Almighty wouldn't feel the way that you're feeling about whatever it is that's bothering you, then you realize in that moment, it's only because you're not identifying with your I am, with the power inside of you. And instead, your job is to remember that and really catch yourself in those moments and be like, wait a minute. I'm only feeling this way because I'm believing in something that is allowing me to feel this way. That's the only reason I feel this negative, anxiety, whatever it may be. That's the only reason I feel whatever it is. So would God feel that way? And would God be looking at the thoughts in my head and my 3D circumstances and feel bothered? And the answer is no. And that's why you shouldn't. And your mind should be telling you, okay, logically, yeah, that does make sense. Like, I shouldn't be worried about this then, because if I trust in the law and I trust that this thing exists in me and I'm a part of it, right? We're connected. The Father and I are one, but the Father is greater than I. If I trust all this and I accept this and I'm going to test this out for myself to see if it's true or not, at least, then I have to trust that I have nothing to worry about. And instead, I'm going to view it from God's perspective. And that's the lens I talked about in the beginning of the video, and the perspective I want you guys to have. This is why perspective is key. And when you understand that as the creator, you can give yourself anything you want. You can give yourself any desire. If you see a nice car driving by, and instead of feeling envious, clap for the guy. Why? Because you can have it too. So feel the relief of if you had that. How cool would it be if you had that car? How relieved would you feel, right? It's like one of my clients. She's a public success story, so I'm pretty sure she wouldn't mind me sharing her name, but I'll just share her first name. It's Carmen. She's all over my stuff too, so I know that she's very public with her successes. But she got a Lexus given to her, and that's crazy. Like, she got a Lexus given to her, and like, that's something beautiful. It's like, a lot of normal people would never imagine, oh my God, a Lexus is going to just be given to me. But lo and behold, they got their Lexus, right? And a bunch of other successes that I've shared in the past as well. And this person is one of my oldest clients. They're probably like the first 10, 15 clients I had, and they're very successful, and I'm still working with them on other things, but they just keep racking up the successes. And what they're doing is they're looking at things from the perspective of who I am. I'm the creator. Why do I need to suffer, right? And as a lot of people would say, the Lord is my shepherd. My Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want, right? And it's so true. Like, why would you sit there wanting things if you know the law is there to use, and in essence it'll guide you, right? And that's what you got to remember. There's no point in sitting there and be like, oh, I want a different 3D reality. Why is this, happening to me? This sucks. I want that money. I want that SP. I want a house. I want blah, blah, blah. Right? And it doesn't make sense to sit there and return to that state over and over again, and then start feeling bad about your 3D reality, while at the same time choosing to periodically return to the wish fulfilled. And then 2 weeks goes by, and then you guys are hitting me up and being like, nothing's happening, and what am I doing wrong? And then you explain all the bad mental diet stuff you're doing to me, but as you're typing it, like, for a lot of people, it doesn't click. Like, oh, wait a minute, that's not what God would be doing. That's not how a creator should be living. And then when I point it out, everyone's like, oh my God, how did I not see that? And it's that simple. It's making the choice, right? Before you go down that path, and I don't want to say waste time, because if you learn a lesson from it, it's not wasted time then, right? And it's like the saying goes, there's no such thing as failures, just lessons. And it's true. If you learn something, especially from time wasted, then it's not really time wasted. In other words, you had to make an investment of that time to realize what was working and what isn't. So look at your perspective from the eyes of the creator. How do you think the creator, the almighty, the king, the queen, whatever you want to call it, source, God, is going to feel about your 3D? How do you think they're going to feel about your desires and any thought that comes to your brain? Are they going to look at those thoughts from a perspective of weakness and victimhood and be like, oh no, I had a thought that my SP is with a third party and they're on a date right now? Do you really think the Almighty is going to come into your body from the sky? Even though, obviously, I use from the sky because that's commonly people think they live up above, but it's, anyone that studies the law understands it's everywhere. It's within us. It's who we are, blah, blah, blah. So, but if the Almighty just came from a cloud and entered your body and was like, okay, let me look at this thought of that third party. Oh yeah, I can't fix that. It's too much for me, right? Do you think they're going to do that? The answer is no. And instead, they're just going to look at that and just be like, they're probably going to give you side eye, to be honest. They'll probably look at you like, this is your creation. Like, you created your 3D and then you're reacting to it. And then you're being upset about what might happen when you understand that what you return to and believe dominantly is going to be your experience. It's like, he'll give you side eye. So that's how you got to look at it. Give your, crappy thoughts side eye. Because it's like, think about it. It's like if someone went to Beyonce or even Adele, right? Adele has a beautiful voice. If someone went to Adele and was like, you can't sing, you're the worst singer ever, you have zero talent, you can't sing, do you think she's going to look at them and be like, oh no, it's true, they're right, I should quit? No, they're going to give them side eye. They're going to look at them and be like, what the hell's wrong with this person? Be like, okay, yeah, I got millions from singing, so at least I'm doing something good, right? And that's the truth. Now imagine that, but infinite, right? That's how the creator or any creator should be looking at life. And I want you guys to do the same. I want you guys to understand it's simply about deciding who you are going to look at your life from. What perspective are you going to look at your 3D from? What perspective are you going to observe your thoughts from? Are you going to observe from the perspective of, I can't change a thing. I'm not in charge of my mental diet. I can't change my beliefs. I can't have whatever it is I want. Or are you going to look at it from the perspective of, I am created in God's image. I'm already born perfect. The problem was society convinced me I wasn't perfect. And even though it did that I can, I can change pretty much whatever it is I want, right? And one thought popped in my head too that I kind of want to get in, which I'll talk about in a minute, but it's like, you have two perspectives to kind of look at things from, right? So one is, knowing who you are, the creator, infinite intelligence, all the stuff. You're creating God's image and unlimited. And when you look at things from an unlimited perspective, you'll have a different outcome. And then there's the other one of, when you look at things from, I can't control my mind, I can't do this, and my beliefs don't create my reality and don't reflect it, and so on and so on, you're going to have two different lives, right? And if you put yourself side by side with another version of you that has two different perspectives like that, you're going to watch them branch off, and one of them is going to thrive and the other one's going to live in hell, right? So remember, heaven doesn't, as Reverend Ike would say, heaven doesn't exist in the sky, right? Heaven is something you experience here. It's, heaven and hell. Like right now, a lot of you guys are living in hell. A lot of people on this planet are living in hell, And as Rev Ike would also say, he doesn't recall anywhere in the Bible saying that, you have to die to go to heaven, but he does recall it saying that you can bring heaven down to earth, right? And that you can bring it unto you, right? And it's that's what I love about different source teachers. There's such great perspectives that put things together for you. And, some people like Ike and Neville Goddard as an example, will break down the Bible and give you details about what they meant and what certain passages are and how to view them. And then some don't even talk about that. And they just talk about how the universe works, right? That's why I love, encouraging the people I work with to study as well in their free time. So just remember, guys, it's not about looking at your 3D and trying to fight your desires, your negative thoughts when you're trying to get your desires. It's not about trying to force feelings. It's not about trying to fight your negative impulses, and when a thought pops in, you gotta like run away from it or do your best to feel good even though you're thinking negative thoughts and all this stuff, right? It's about understanding who you are and what you're connected to. It's about understanding that you guys are unlimited and it's your birthright to have whatever it is you want. And when you realize that you can have anything you want as long as you decide to be the one who has it again and again, then you're going to have no issues reflecting the changes that you want to see. But if you don't bother changing your beliefs and instead what you do is you do a little bit of techniques, and then you revert back to crappy mental diet, it's 50-50, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, right? You're not going to get results. But if you're willing to be disciplined and shed the old you, the present you, right? The one that got you to the party, right? Or to the dance, and you're willing to shed that, and you're willing to instead become someone else and identify with being someone else, and you have fun with your imagination, and you start accepting who you actually are with the understanding of everything I said in the first 11 minutes of this video, your world is going to be easier to deal with. It's going to be easy to look at the negative and feel like smiling and feel happy, right? It's going to be easier to look at anything that comes up as a bump in the road and to just be like, I don't care. It's God's job to figure it out. It's Source's job. Their ways are beyond mine. They'll figure it out. It's okay. I'm choosing to still trust and identify with the new me because I understand that the 3D has no choice but to reflect my assumptions, my beliefs. And if I am returning to new beliefs, then it's only a matter of time until I get my results. So that being said, guys, there's so much more I want to say, but I didn't want to make this like a 45+ minute video. We're at least 24 minutes in, so it's fairly long. It's a lot for you guys to digest. So take notes if you need, right? Remember who you are, and the message I want you all to leave with is, don't forget who you are. Just practice for the next 7 days. Practice reminding yourself who you are when you look at the 3D. When you're looking at good things or bad things, right? When you see good things happen, just remember, I'm the creator. All this is happening based off my beliefs and assumptions, right? And when you see the bad things, understand I can change it. I don't have to take credit for every single bad thing around the world, but you can take credit for your personal reality. You can take credit for your relationships and your lack of finances and your lack of love and whatever else it may be, and lack of health. And instead, understand I can take credit for it because I now understand I created this. But the same way I created this, by focusing and returning to it and consenting to things that I may not have been aware of, I can now choose to consent to the things that I want and do it from the perspective of who you are. Remember, you guys are connected to an infinite supply. It's game over the moment you start returning to that, okay? So that being said, I love you all very much, and I look forward to seeing you guys really soon, okay?